Welcome to the Kusa cast, where we interview some of the most influential people in tourism from around the world. My name is Graeme Watson, and I'm the founder of Kusa Global. The word Kusa means a new dawn, and in 2023, we want to find out just how our guests are working towards that new dawn. Join us and subscribe to future episodes as we hope to inspire you with stories of strength and resilience in the tourism industry. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Kusa Cast. We are here today with Jacqui Reynolds, the founding and managing partner of Onshore Solutions. Many of you may know Jacqui as well if you've ever been on one of her roadshows. So welcome to Kusa Cast, Jacqui.
Thank you, Graeme. Awesome to be with you and to have a chance to chat about everything. It's really good to be here. Thanks.
No problem at all. It's, the Kusa Cast is going well. Everybody seems to be enjoying listening to the fellow members of the industry, and even those who aren't in the industry are enjoying learning more. So thanks for joining us. So let's kick off and just let us know a bit more about what you do with Onshore Solutions and the Africa Showcase, and a bit about your history and how you got into the tourism industry.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so Africa Showcase is a series of road shows that we take around the world. Essentially, we get to travel around the world telling people to come to Africa. Is that not a cool job? Hey? So
Absolutely.
That to me is the ideal, and we've really worked it into doing what we believe we are passionate about and playing our role in the industry about bringing people to Africa. So our road shows take us into the key source markets. Essentially, it replaces a sales trip as if you were going in on your own. So we have people that join us to come onto the events so that we can introduce and connect people to the major operators and agents that sell Africa in those markets. So that's in a nutshell how Africa Showcase works. We also run various other exhibitions over the years. We've run Indaba, Meetings Africa, the Magical Kenya Travel Expo. So yeah, very much exhibition and events work, but always for the tourism industry. So that's what we believe in. History-wise, looking back, I always wanted to do tourism since Standard 5 Geography when we learned the capitals of the world. But you could only really train to be a travel agent. There was nothing really in terms of learning to do tourism marketing, which was always more what I believed I wanted to do. So studied a PR degree for 3 years and did some temp work with an exhibition company in Durban. And that was at the House and Garden show back in those days. And then
back in those days, yeah.
Yeah, and then I phoned them up for a reference and they said, well, why don't you come and work with us? And that was me suddenly falling into the exhibition industry. I don't think anybody really studied it at that stage. It was just something that you fell into. So that was a couple of years, and then I moved across to the UK, and I got a job with Reed Travel Exhibitions, and that was the first time I really got to take exhibitions and tourism into the same space, and I realized I could actually do what I always wanted to do by combining the skills. So that was really cool, working on World Travel Market, London, Arabian Travel Market, CIS Travel Fair in Russia, and Mediterranean Travel Fair in Cairo. Gosh, some of those are a long way back. And then I came back to South Africa. And when I came back, I knew that I wanted to work on the Indaba account. So that was without fail. That was what I was going to do. So I phoned up Craig Newman at Kusa Exhibitions, and I said, right, I'm coming for an interview. And he said, what? I said, yeah, I'm coming for an interview. I'm going to work on the Indaba account. He said, okay, well, come on in. And he'd been a client of mine previously. And then when I was coming out of the interview, I actually bumped into Amanda Margison, my business partner. And Amanda saw me coming in. She'd also been a previous client. I left out Gallagher Estate. I worked there for a bit. And Amanda said, what are you doing here? And I said, no, I've just had an interview with Craig for the tourism account. And she said, well, where are you going? She said, come back in. We need you. So, and that was it. That's like, sure, over 20 years ago. And Amanda and I have worked in each other's pockets since then. We ran the Indaba account at Kagiso until 2007, and then we left to form our own business, On Show Solutions, and that is 16 years ago that we've had the company now. And at the time, roadshows were the new buzzword. That's what everyone was talking about, doing roadshows. So we decided to go directly into the market and provide a much more impactful way of getting to the clients. So that was exactly what we did. And we started from there with Africa Showcase. Our first show was in Ireland just before the recession. Then into the US, and it grew from there. And then simultaneously, we also then formed a business called Scan on Show to run Meetings Africa for South African tourism. And we've actually subsequently rebranded as Synergy Business Events, and Synergy is still running in Durban now. So it's been a long history of the travel industry, working in the travel industry, and really just bringing my passion into my daily life.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I think that certainly is, all the cliche sayings of if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life and all that. And I think the travel industry definitely does lend itself to that. If you can be passionate about something, it's great to be able to do that every day. I just thinking about what you do, it must be a total logistical crazy nightmare to try and arrange all these things, but you seem to do it so well, and I think you've obviously found the right formula. What strategies do you use for buyer recruitment and when you connect them with preferred suppliers? So, I mean, how did you go about building up that very substantial buyer database? Because I think that's the kind of golden egg that everybody wants, and you've obviously found the right formula there.
Our strategy really is to make sure we work with the right people in each market. That's really it. Our strength is the logistics and bringing the right mix of exhibitors onto the road shows. But really, for me, the key is having the right partners in the market. There's always so much change going on in the various different source markets that you need people based in country who know what they're doing. Market reps that actually understand the business and know the major players. And I think our facilitators have been brilliant, especially over COVID time, when we have had so much change, trying to work out who's still operating, who's left which company, which new travel designers are emerging in their own rights. It's been a huge shift. So where you thought you had a database 6 months ago, it's a whole different landscape now. So I think anybody who's coming back into the international sales and marketing side, over the last 2 years, we've seen a lot of people take a break from actively marketing themselves internationally, and the databases have changed substantially. So for us, the key is to have the right partners in the market, and they keep a pulse on the industry for us.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's always key to have people with the ear to the ground in the market. So that's also very key. And as you say, databases from certainly prior to COVID are, they've changed so much, and I think it's important to kind of keep up. If you just watch on LinkedIn, it's actually everybody's here, there, and everywhere. But so keeping those databases up to date is if you get that right, it's really a gold mine of who's still working where. So over the years, I mean, what do you think? I mean, COVID hit us all, but in terms of challenges in the kind of event space, can you picture any situation that was pretty challenging, and how did you kind of overcome that?
Like, I think we've worked a lot through the different phases as an industry. If we think about tourism and events, sure, I mean, some of when we have hurricanes across North America and we have people that can't attend events, even if it's people that are servicing clients in Florida, and you're talking about an event in Connecticut, and it's like, well, why can't people come? But they're actually still servicing their clients who are stuck in Florida. But I mean, any of those sort of tourism impacts on the event side was nothing like what we had through COVID. I'd say for me, my biggest challenge is to see how we've had to rebuild our business where at the start of 2020, we'd had an entire rollout of the year that was looking epic. And we had so many cool shows happening. But then with the complete shutdown, it was a case of how do you then go back and rebuild your business again, but with knowledge and hindsight. And I mean, that can be good and bad, because when you first start a business, you're naive and you just think you're gung-ho and you go with it and you think you can just make a plan. But I think when you know where the faults are and where the holes are, that's sometimes worse, because then you actually know where you could trip. So sometimes it makes you a little bit too cautious. So you've got to try and balance that to still have the energy and the adventure for it. Because I think being an entrepreneur, you need to be able to really go for it. So I think that for me has been the biggest challenge over the last few years, is just rebuilding a business. Making sure that we stay afloat and that we look after our team and make sure we keep delivering to the industry.
Yeah, it's kind of almost a silly question that I ask people, what's the greatest challenge you've ever faced? Because the most obvious thing is, well, complete shutdown of our businesses for 2 years. But I think there's so many, if you can look at any positives that have come out of it, there are, like I said about myself, it kind of swings you on a path that you may have needed to go on. It kind of just forced you to go on, and it's just a very interesting time. And that's why I wanted to do the podcast, particularly at the start of 2023, because as I said while we were chatting before, it's the year that we've all been waiting for, where there are no restrictions on travel, very, very few restrictions on travel, nothing like there was. And it's hopefully going to be the first full year, 12 months, where people can where there's no distractions, no PCR tests, no lockdowns, red lists, all that kind of stuff. So I think 2023 certainly the first year since 2018. I mean, even 2019, the restrictions started to come in. So I think it's going to be a great year. And I think there is a spirit of camaraderie. We've spoken about this with other guests. That is so wonderful. We're all really helping each other. Competitiveness has not fallen away too much, because it's competition is healthy, but everyone's trying to just help each other and swing leads people's ways that people would have held on to tightly before, which is great. So
I think that's actually been fascinating to see over the last few years, is how people have rallied together, and it's been a great sense of community that's come together in our industry. And just to see people working together and going for that common goal of just getting the tourists back. So how do we make it happen? How do we actually work together as an industry and build together again?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And there's a great personal joy in being able to help somebody that went through the same trauma as you did, and to be able to help other people and to get help. Yeah, it's a wonderful spirit at the moment. And what do you think, obviously, when it comes to face-to-face, which is your bread and butter, is that definitely, what do you think it taught people during COVID about the importance of face-to-face, when, we know how Zoom can help, or Skype, or whatever, but we know that face-to-face is great. But do you think that really made people realize the importance of it during COVID?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I think the virtual shows we knew we needed to do. We ran a number of online shows for Africa Showcase, and we knew we needed to do that to keep our connections with the trade and to make sure that we were still relevant in those markets, so that the buyers, the agents and operators could still see us there and could still see the guys from Africa. But it's not the same being in person. I mean, when we actually went back into the market, the German market last year, April, was so excited to see us. They were like, oh my word, thank you so much for coming. They were like, this is the best event we've ever been to. The American market as well last year they were just thrilled to have us back. And I think that is so rewarding because it shows that all of the online was fine keeping us going, but people want the connection. In our industry, it's all about people. I think that Zoom meetings or online conferences can certainly work for other industries that aren't as reliant on the human element. But for the tourism sector, we have to be in the market face to face, because that's how we're going to rebuild as quickly as possible. That's how you get better results, quicker results, and better impact. So for me, that's a very important part of it.
No, I don't think. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's one person that'll say that it's face to face is not better. I think everybody agrees. So that's certainly a great thing that we can all look forward to as the year progresses. What I mean, when it comes to you personally, when it comes to productivity, have you found anything during the pandemic that is like a wow tool or something that you've been using for years to kind of keep everything in check when it comes to, the modern tools at our disposal? What, anything that sticks out in your mind is something that you use regularly?
A wow tool for me personally? No, I think, if I think about the tools that we use, it's been a case of building on our own understanding of various different tools. I actually did at the start of lockdown, I overhauled our websites because I decided to actually spend some time really getting my head into it all. So rebuilt the on-show website and the Africa Showcase website because that was always a bugbear for me. Our websites were never quite as fast and relevant as we needed them to be. So I decided to train up on content management and really understand all of that. So that was something I did personally. Other tools we use is we've developed a really awesome exhibition management tool that we use for our big shows like the MKTE, the Magical Kenya Travel Expo. And the team that we work with, the suppliers, we've worked together for, like 20 years now. So we've really built the program into what we want it to be. For Africa Showcase, we run an element of that exhibition tool as well. But yeah, it's something that we've really worked very hard to customize. Yeah.
Well, that's great. And I mean, any other thing that you are particularly excited about? I mean, obviously the return to trade shows and everybody coming out and going to them, but if you look towards 2023, is there anything in particular that stands out as something that you're really looking forward to in terms of something that maybe you haven't done before in the exhibition space?
We are launching Africa Showcase in Latin America.
Oh, wow. There you go.
Yeah, that is super
that'll
cool.
be awesome.
So that to me, that is something we've been wanting to do for years. We've had so many people asking us to do something in South America. So we've looked at it for a number of years. We were quite keen to launch just before COVID, actually. And then we decided, no, we have to do this. And every single year when we talk to everybody about which markets you're going into, it keeps coming up. So we decided this is the year. We've got an awesome new facilitator we're going to be working with. So we're working with Andrea from Sururi Terra in South America. She's based out of Sao Paulo. And so there's some very exciting stuff coming. So it's Sao Paulo, Buenos Aires, and Mexico City. So that is super, super cool. That always, for me, when we go into new markets, that is the most exciting part. It's rewarding when we have shows that are delivering well and keep building, like our shows when we went into the US. It's still going great guns, and we've been in that market now 14 years, and that's awesome to see. It just keeps growing every year. I mean, starting in Russia was incredible, and obviously, I mean, we can't be doing that show right now, but it's just going into a new market and learning the dynamics in that market and meeting the buyers that sell Africa with so much passion and building that whole network of buyers. It's a really rewarding part of the process. So for me, hitting new markets this year for Africa Showcase is really cool. So that's October.
Wonderful. And so, I mean, I usually do this at the end, but we can do it now. How do people get in touch with you to find out a bit more about how they can get involved on the Africa Showcase
Sure,
or any
yeah.
other exhibitions that you work on?
Our general email is ideas@africashowcase.travel. Otherwise, pop me an email, Jacqui. It's JACQUI at onshowsolutions.coza. Otherwise, WhatsApp. We're always on WhatsApp.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. It's yeah, because there must be a lot of people listening that either as a buyer that want to attend the road shows, or you know, as exhibitors that want to go on with them. And I hope that Kusa Connect can one day be an integral part of everything that you do as well, and part of that ecosystem, which I would love. Let's see what in the terms of the industry, what are you hopeful that will still come about, that you still think we missing a trick on? I mean, what's your kind of wish list that you think to yourself, you know, if we can just get this right, it'll be so much better. I mean, a lot of people have given different opinions, but I'm keen to hear what you think.
For me, there's a couple of things here, really, if I think about it. One of the bits, I really like the way that we've moved into a different phase of traveling, as that we've seen over the last year really emerging, is this travel for a purpose. And I think that people are really thinking it's, you know, yes, sustainability, yes, it's responsibility, all of that's been given a lot more prominence than it did pre-COVID. And I think that is so important because Africa can benefit so much from that. But I think it's more than that. You know, it's about taking the time with your family. It's about celebrating important moments, experiencing something extra special, you know, and going to a country that you've always wanted to see. So there's a reason for traveling. You know, this travel with a purpose has come through so strongly for me. It's really resonated for me. And that makes me then think about, you know, in terms of how can we leverage that moving into changes in the industry. It's then, from what we do, you know, when you go into a market, you really need to connect with the buyers on a level that they are going to understand. So when you go into a market, you really need to tailor your offering so differently. You know, we saw really during COVID time with our online shows, when you met with the Nordic market, they wanted all the details. The Nordic market is always very detail oriented. They wanted the details of the protocols. They wanted to know what was happening so that they could share that with their clients and have all of the updates. Whereas when we met with the Australian market, for example, the Australian market expected that we had all of our protocols in place. They wanted to keep selling the dream of travel, you know, so it was a very different take. And if you take that concept into the markets, each market needs to have a customized approach. And I don't think that we're always doing that as a destination. I think, you know, for me, during the last couple of years, I really got into the niche of food tourism on a personal level, you know, as a way of exploring the world in a very hands-on and immersive way. When I travel, I really like to include a food tour or some sort of cultural food experience. Amanda and I have certainly done enough wine tasting, well, never enough wine tastings in various parts of the world. But, you know, that's a whole sector of tourism on its own when you're looking at wine tourism. So, you know, there's so many other ways to immerse yourself in a destination, and there's so many opportunities that we haven't yet tapped into. As a destination, I still believe we're selling too broadly as Africa, as what we're offering. There's so many more immersive ways to do it. And I think also as a destination, we need to also think about the different audiences and the different ages that are coming through. You know, traditionally Africa was a much old audience coming through to Africa. It still is coming out of North America, coming out of Europe. It's still very much an older audience, but we're now seeing a millennial age, a different age traveling, and they're wanting different stuff. So we need to think a bit more about how we can target that age group.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, when you talk about things that need to change, it is quite a lot. I think as you say, the different age groups of people traveling and the more immersive tourism, the cultural tourism, the eco-tourism, everything is different. I think the formula worked for a length of time, but now, yeah, there just needs to be a few little tweaks in what people are looking for. I think the getting off a coach, taking a photo, getting back on the coach is those days are not there. There needs to be far more interesting. And I think what any destination needs to understand is that there is such a competition now as to who's the post COVID traveler and what people are looking for, and we need to give people that edge. And Africa's got so much to give, and I just think we need to tap into all those different wonderful things that we've got all over the continent. Even new countries. I'm going to be talking a bit in the UK about we launching Burundi as a destination to the UK. My client Pinnacle Africa, they a wonderful DMC for Burundi. So there's all these wonderful countries that people want to visit, and they haven't been highlighted yet. So all the different off the track places as well. So when it comes to young entrepreneurs who are looking at wanting to expose their product into the international arena, so here's the opportunity to do the sales pitch for On-Show Solutions and the Africa Showcase. What would you say to someone who's kind of sitting on the fence as to whether to join your show or not? Obviously there's a cost involved, so that has to be taken into consideration, but in terms of any like major success stories you can think of, or just in general, what they can expect from attending a roadshow in terms of being able to sell their product to the international audience?
I think for me, the key is to work out how you're going to spend your time, invest your time and your money in the best possible way. So you could be on the road for 3-4 weeks and not see nearly as many people as you would on a roadshow. We actually calculated out in the North American market in terms of what it's costing now to do your own sales trip. If you're coming onto a roadshow, you're seeing 2 to 3 times more buyers for the amount of money and the time that we have you on the road with us. So when you're coming with us, you're seeing the pre-qualified buyers. You're not even having to sift through them yourself. We've already done all that work to filter through who's got the potential to sell Africa. And who the right people are that are currently selling Africa or moving into the Africa department. So you've already got all of that work done for you. You can then just really come in and sell your product or your experience, which saves a huge amount of time, and it just gives you faster returns.
Yeah, that's hit the nail on the head right there. Absolutely. I've been to my fair share of roadshows, exhibiting and buying. So it's different. And what is the sort of average length of time that a exhibitor would get? Like 20 minutes, half an hour, somewhere around there, 15 minutes.
It depends on each of the shows. So we tend to work the market dynamics will determine the format that we have on the show. So if the majority tend to work really well with product rotation, so a kind of speed networking concept where you get to meet all of the buyers in the room in quite a fast way so that it's high impact, high energy. You work out then who the right people are for you that you then need to do your follow-ups with. So you get to meet everyone, you get those meetings and the introductions, and then you get the networking time after. So it really is to bring you directly into contact with the right buyers.
Yeah, that's 100%. And then also, I think there's a lot to be said for the after hours events that your roadshows take into account as well. I'm not sure, obviously they're not all sort of like exhibitions, but your exhibitions have a lot of evening events and off-site events that allow for a lot of networking as well. I've just attended Magical Kenya that you had a hand in running, and that was great as well, because there was a lot of off-site events, pre and post FAMs, give businesses an opportunity to showcase their product. So absolutely, if I was trying to get my name out into the market, I would definitely get in touch with you, and then you can hopefully put people on the right track. So Jacqui,
Graeme, that's exactly right. If you think about it, it's the after hours events that happen. So at like MKTE, those are the events that, as an industry, that's where we all get together, and the networking time is so important, Graeme. I mean, that's really what we talk about, the people industry, the human element of our industry. And that's where, when you think about the ATRA event at MKTE that everyone's attending, and that's where so much of the relationships are formed in our industry, so
yeah,
that's super important as a sector.
Yeah, I think what yet another lesson that COVID taught us was the importance of that one-on-one relationship that you had with people, because if you've got that relationship, if there is a major issue, or which a lot of people face during COVID in terms of logistics and bookings and cancellations, it's a lot easier to deal with somebody that on a one-to-one personal level. Obviously the primary relationship is business, but when you get to know people and you get to know them personally, and you spend late nights chatting and getting to know somebody, it's far easier to resolve issues on a personable level when you've got those relationships. And I think that's certainly what your roadshows and what exhibitions in general can give you. And yet another way to highlight the importance of getting out into the field and nurturing those relationships.
And something else, just as a spin-off from the roadshows, we see a huge amount of business gets done between the exhibitors. So when you're traveling, you build those relationships with people when you're on a joint marketing roadshow. The reality is that we're doing a huge amount of business between East Africa and Southern Africa, and you may not necessarily have those partners in place. So by coming on a roadshow, you get to travel with other people from Africa that you might suddenly realize that this is somebody I need to send my clients to. So that comes as a spin-off from the roadshows. You're obviously going on the roadshows first and foremost to meet with the source market, but it's a great benefit that you then build other business relationships.
And how many exhibitors do you generally take on a roadshow?
On a European show, we average about 20 companies. So that's usually the base for the European shows, because you can't overwhelm the buyers. So we're always very aware that the number of buyers in each of the markets we go to, in each city, the number of buyers are limited. So you can't overwhelm them. You can't go into the market with 40 exhibitors if you're going to have 30 to 40 buyers at the event. Your ratio is wrong. So you need to balance that quite carefully. So in the US, it's different. We tend to go with a much bigger group, because in North America, your numbers are just much wider in terms of people selling Africa. So that's a different ratio there. And then also when you're on the exhibitions, you're looking at 1-to-1, 1-to-2 on the exhibitions versus number of exhibition companies versus number of hosted buyers. You've always got to have that magic ratio, because otherwise your balance for a show is out. And then as an exhibitor, you don't get your return on your investment if there's too many exhibitors trying to get that same buyer.
Yeah, that's very true. And I'm sure everybody listening can see the experience coming through there, because obviously you've the formula that you found is tried and tested, and you're rolling out the tried and tested formula, which is great, and what everybody needs. You need to hit the ground running. So
yeah, we have to. It's time to do this. 2023 is here. It's time to go.
Yeah, that's exactly the reason why I've done the podcast. And thanks again, Jacqui, for joining us. I think we can wrap things up. I think we've found something, had a great conversation, and let's hope we've inspired some companies to have a look at getting out into the field. Both our companies are experienced in international marketing. So if the how to get hold of you will be in the description, and how to get hold of me is like all over the web. So it's it's not hard to find how to get a hold of Graeme Watson. Yeah. So thanks again, Jacqui. And are you going skiing again anytime soon?
Yeah, definitely heading off in February, going to go and learn to ski. We definitely feel like South Africans that have been dropped into the middle of the Alps. We definitely are a bit out of our depth. It's a whole different world. I'm better on water skiing than I am on snow skiing. I'll let you know how it goes.
I broke my shoulder skiing, so I have to get I have to get back on that horse. I thought I'd finally found a sport that I was good at, and went up to the top of the mountain, and I don't know, somehow felt like I ended up on a double black diamond slope or whatever, because I was just going so fast. Ended up breaking my shoulder, and being in the middle of Times Square New Year's Eve with a broken shoulder was interesting. But anyway, it's one of those things I feel I have to at least try once more, and hope I don't break my shoulder. So maybe I'll come to France. And
thanks for the scare stories. Appreciate it.
Yeah. You just got to be careful. Got to be careful. Wear a helmet. I don't think I wore a helmet. So yeah, just once you're learning, just remember all that. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thanks.
Graeme, thanks for the chat. Lovely to see you.
No problem. I'll let you know when everything comes online and when it's launching. And thanks to all the listeners as well. Thanks a lot.
Okay, dokes. Bye-bye.
Ciao, bye.
Thanks for listening. And if you enjoyed the conversation, then please subscribe, leave us a great review, and even check out our Patreon page. Until next time, I'm Graeme Watson, and thanks for listening to the Kusa Cast.